It was the most humiliating night of my life when I heard those words come from my daughter-in-law's mouth. She looked at me with fury, with contempt. My legs were shaking. "Get out of here, you old hag! You weren't even invited!" The guests looked at each other in silence. The cake was still whole on the table, big, pink, with golden candles, and I just stood there. My heart was beating so hard I thought everyone could hear it. I was trying to understand at what point a mother's love became a source of shame. My name is Josephine. I'm 53 years old. And on that night, I learned that the deepest pain doesn't come from strangers. It comes from your own flesh and blood. For 28 years, I was a single mother. I cleaned other people's houses. I ironed shirts until my hands were covered in calluses. I sold tamales on a busy street corner, rain or shine. Also, my son Sebastian could have what I never had: new shoes for school, new notebooks, a birthday party with a real cake. Sebastian was my entire life. When he graduated with an engineering degree, I cried so hard my neighbors thought something terrible had happened. But no, it was happiness. It was pride. It was knowing that all that sacrifice was worth it. Then he met Alexandra, tall, beautiful, from a wealthy family, educated. I thought, what a blessing. My son deserves a woman like that. The first time I met her, I brought her a special casserole I had made with my own hands. It was July. She smiled, but it was a cold smile. "Thank you, Aunt Mother. But I don't eat spicy or heavy food." Sebastian said nothing. From that day on, something changed. The visits became awkward. My calls became annoying. My gifts were unnecessary. "We already have help, Mother. We don't need it. We know how to do it." And my son, my Sebastian, stayed silent. That night in June, I just wanted to give her a gift. It was her birthday. I had embroidered a small blanket for the baby they were expecting. It was white with yellow flowers on the edges. Every stitch held a prayer. I knocked on the door of their house in the rich part of town. I heard laughter, music, glasses clinking. Sebastian opened the door. He stared at me wide-eyed. "Mom, what are you doing here?" "Son, I just came to wish Alexandra a happy birthday." I held the gift wrapped in purple tissue paper. My hands were shaking a little. "Mom, it's just that—" But he didn't finish the sentence. Alexandra appeared behind him. She was wearing a long wine-colored dress, high heels. Her hair was up. She looked beautiful. But when she saw me, her face changed. Her eyes filled with rage, and she screamed, "Get out of here, you old hag! You weren't even invited!" The world stopped. The guests stopped talking. Someone turned down the music. A glass fell to the floor and shattered. And my son laughed. It wasn't a real laugh. It was nervous. Awkward. But I heard it. And that laugh hurt me more than all of Alexandra's words combined. I left the gift on the floor. I turned around, and I walked. I walked under the city lights with tears burning my face. I got back to my small apartment. I opened the door. I sat on the armchair where I used to rock my son to sleep when he had a fever. I took a rosary with blue beads out of my purse, the same one my mother put in my hands before she died. "Please, God," I whispered, "where did I go wrong?" 2 hours passed. Someone knocked on the door, hard, desperate. It was Sebastian. His eyes were red, swollen. He was shaking. "Mom," he said, his voice cracking. "Mom, forgive me. Please forgive me." Sometimes we trust the wrong people. Have you ever been disappointed by someone you loved? Tell me your story in the comments. I want to read it. "Mom, forgive me." Those words just hung in the air, but I didn't open the door. Not yet. I stayed sitting in that old armchair clutching the rosary, and for a moment I let the memories take me far away, very far, back to when Sebastian was all mine. He was 3 years old when his father left. One morning he was there, and the next there was just a note on the kitchen table. "I can't handle this. I'm sorry." 5 words. That's all he left. But I had my boy, and that was enough. I remember the mornings in our tiny apartment. I'd get up before sunrise to make tamales to sell on the corner. The smell of the corn filled the house. Sebastian would wake up to that smell and come downstairs in his little bear pajamas, rubbing his eyes. "Mommy, is it time for school yet?" "Not yet, my love. Come eat breakfast." I'd serve him a glass of warm chocolate milk, a pastry. Sometimes it was just beans and tortillas. But he never complained. Never. After dropping him at school, I would run to clean houses. 3 houses every single day. Bathrooms, kitchens, floors, windows. My knees ached. My hands cracked. But when I went to pick him up at 2 in the afternoon, and he came running out his backpack, bouncing on his back, yelling, "Mommy, all the exhaustion just disappeared. Sundays were our day." We'd walk to the park. We'd buy corn on the cob with chili and lime. We'd sit on a bench under a big tree, and he would tell me stories he made up. Stories about superheroes, about dragons, about kids who saved the world. "When I grow up, Mommy, I'm going to buy you a huge house with a yard. And you'll never have to clean other people's houses again." I would stroke his hair. "You just study my love. That's all that matters." And he studied. My God, how he studied. At night, I would iron clothes while he did his homework at the table. Math, history, science. Sometimes I didn't understand any of it, but I stayed awake with him. "Mommy, can you explain this?" "Oh, son, I only made it to elementary school. But we can look it up at the library tomorrow, okay?" And he would smile. "It's okay, Mommy. You already do so much." When he turned 15, I got an extra job selling beauty products, Tupperware, whatever I could, because I wanted to throw him a party. Not a big one, but something nice. I invited our neighbors, his friends from school. I made a big pot of chili. I bought a small cake from the local bakery. When he blew out the candles, he hugged me. "I love you, Mommy. Thank you for everything." And I felt like all the effort was worth it. Years later, the day he got his acceptance letter to the university, he cried. He cried like a little boy. "You did it, son. You did it." "No, Mommy. We did it." During those college years, I kept working. He studied and worked part-time at a coffee shop. He came home on weekends. He always brought something, a pastry, a flower. One time, he brought me a purple shawl he saw at the flea market. "So you won't be cold, Mommy." I kept that shawl like it was a treasure. The day of his graduation, I sat in the front row. I wore my best dress, the blue one with flowers I bought at the market. I put my hair up in a bun. I wore the fake pearl earrings that belonged to my mother. When they called his name Sebastian, and he walked across the stage, my heart exploded with pride. After the ceremony, he introduced me to his friends. "This is my mom, the strongest woman I know," and they all greeted me with respect. But a few months later, he introduced me to her, to Alexandra. Everything changed. At first it was subtle. The calls got shorter, the visits less frequent. "Mom, I have a lot of work." "Mom, Alexandra and I have plans." "Mom, let's see each other next week instead." I tried to understand. He was in love. It was natural. But something inside me knew I was losing my son. And that night when Alexandra screamed those words and Sebastian laughed, I knew I had already lost him. Sebastian kept knocking. "Mom, please open the door. I need to talk to you." I wiped my tears. I stood up. I walked to the door. But before I opened it, I whispered, "Please, God, give me strength for what's coming." As I tell this story, I wonder where you're listening from. Write the name of your city in the comments. I opened the door. Sebastian was there. His suit wrinkled, his tie loose, his eyes destroyed. "Come in," I said. My voice came out colder than I expected. He walked in slowly, as if he was afraid of breaking something else. He sat on the armchair. He buried his face in his hands. "Mom, I don't know how to explain." "Then don't." Silence. A silence so heavy it hurt. "What happened after I left?" I asked. "Why did you come?" Sebastian took a deep, shaky breath. "After you left, Alexandra was furious. She said you ruined her party, that you always show up at the wrong time. I tried to calm her down. I told her it wasn't a big deal, but she wouldn't listen." He paused. The guests started to leave one by one. Some looked at me with pity, others with contempt, like I was a coward. "And you were," I said. The words came out on their own, direct, true. Sebastian looked up. Tears were streaming down his face. "I know, Mom, I know." "Then why did you laugh?" "I don't know. I was nervous, scared. Alexandra was so angry and I just wanted her to stop yelling. I thought if I laughed, if I pretended it wasn't important, everything would calm down. But you hurt me. Yes, I hurt you. And you have no idea how much I regret it." I stayed quiet. Part of me wanted to hug him to tell him everything was okay. But another part, the part that was still bleeding, couldn't. "What else happened?" I asked. Sebastian wiped his face on his sleeve. "When the guests left, Alexandra yelled at me. She said your presence embarrasses her, that you don't fit into her life, that every time you show up you make her feel uncomfortable." I felt a fist squeeze my chest. And then she said something worse. "What?" "She said if I didn't set boundaries with you, she would. That she doesn't want you coming to our house anymore. That she doesn't want you to meet the baby when it's born." The world stopped again. "What?" she said. "Our child doesn't need to grow up seeing what Sebastian..." He closed his eyes. "Seeing a poor, uneducated, classless woman." The words fell like stones. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. Because in that moment, I understood something terrible. Alexandra didn't hate me for something I did. She hated me for who I was. And my son had let it happen. I got up. I walked to the window. I looked at the city lights, the same lights I had looked at for 28 years while my son grew up, while I worked, while I dreamed of giving him a better future. "Do you know when this all started, Sebastian?" He didn't answer. "The first time you brought Alexandra to my apartment," I continued. "I remember that day perfectly. I cleaned the whole place. I bought sodas. I made your favorite food, chicken mole, rice, beans. I put out my best tablecloth, the one I only use for Christmas." Sebastian was still quiet. When they arrived, she walked in looking at everything with, I don't know how to describe it. Curiosity, but not good curiosity. It was like she was studying my poverty, like she was measuring how different her life was from mine. "Mom, I'm not finished." My voice cracked a little, but I went on. She sat on the armchair, this armchair. And when I served her the mole, she smiled, but it was a fake smile. And she said, "Thank you, Mother, but I don't eat such heavy food. I have to watch my figure." Sebastian looked down. "And you said nothing. You just ate in silence. And when she got up to use the bathroom, you looked at me and said, 'Mommy, try to understand her. She comes from a different background.' Mom, you wanted me to change for her, not for her to accept me as I am." The silence returned. Sebastian stood up. He walked toward me. "You're right, about everything. I was a coward. I let her treat you badly. I let her make you feel small. And tonight, I saw her true face. And what did you see? I saw that she doesn't love me. She loves what I represent. The status, the money, the life we built. But when I told her she couldn't forbid you from seeing your grandchild, when I told her you are my mother and you will always be welcome in my life, she looked at me with pure hatred. And she told me to choose. My heart beat faster. Choose what? Between her or you. I still wonder if I did the right thing. What would you have done in my place, between her or you? Those words hung in the air like a knife. I looked at my son, at this 30-year-old man who was once my baby, and I felt something break inside me. But it wasn't anger, it was fear of losing him forever. "And what did you tell her?" I asked, my voice trembling. Sebastian looked down. "I didn't tell her anything, I just left. And I came here." "So she's waiting for your answer?" "Yes." I walked back to the armchair. I sat down. The rosary was still in my lap. And then I did something I'm ashamed of to this day. "Sebastian, maybe I was the one who was wrong. He looked up surprised. What? Maybe I shouldn't have shown up without an invitation. Maybe Alexandra is right. She was at her party with her friends, and I just appeared uninvited. Mom, no. You're my mother. You don't need an invitation to... But it's her house, son. Her life. And I come from another world. Maybe she just wants to protect what you've built together. I can't believe I said those words, but I did, because in that moment all that mattered was not losing my son, not losing that baby that was about to be born, my grandchild. Sebastian knelt in front of me. Mom, don't say that. You did nothing wrong. But Alexandra is pregnant. She's emotional. Maybe if I apologize to her, if I promise her that what, Mom? I swallowed. That I'll only come when I'm invited. That I won't show up unannounced. The words burned my throat, but I said them anyway. Sebastian looked at me, his eyes full of tears. I don't want you to do that. But it's the right thing to do, isn't it? If I want to be part of my grandchild's life, I have to accept his mother's rules. He fell silent, and that silence was the answer I didn't want to hear. It's okay, son. Go back to her. Tell her that I understand, that I'm sorry, that it won't happen again. Mom. Go, Sebastian. Your wife is waiting. He stood up slowly. He hugged me, a long, desperate hug. I love you, Mom. Never forget that. I love you too, son. And he left. I closed the door behind him, and something inside me died that night. For the next few weeks, I became a ghost in my own life. I stopped calling Sebastian every day. I waited for him to call, and when he did, I said very little. I asked how he was, how Alexandra was, how the pregnancy was going. Everything's fine, Mom. The baby is healthy. What a blessing, son. How are you? Fine. Everything's fine. Lies. It was all lies. I wasn't fine. I felt small, invisible, like my existence was a problem that needed to be hidden. I stopped embroidering the baby blanket. I put it away in a drawer because I no longer knew if it would be welcome. I stopped cooking Sebastian's favorite meals because I no longer knew if he would visit again. My neighbors would ask me, Josephine, what's wrong? You've been so quiet lately. Nothing, Lucy. I'm just a little tired. But Lucy had known me for 20 years. It's about your son, isn't it? I didn't answer. I just looked down. Oh, honey, children grow up and forget, but a mother never forgets. She was right. A month later, Sebastian called me. Mom, Alexandra wants to see you. My heart leaped. Really? Yes, she wants us to talk, the three of us. She wants to fix things. I felt hope, like a ray of light in the darkness. When? Saturday, at our house, at 4 p.m. I'll be there, son. I hung up the phone, and for the first time in weeks, I smiled. I thought, maybe everything will be okay. Maybe Alexandra understood. Maybe she saw that I'm not a threat, that I'm just a mother who loves her son. How naive I was. On Saturday, I arrived at 4 o'clock sharp. I knocked on the door. Sebastian opened it. He was serious. Come in, Mom. I walked in. The house was silent. Alexandra was sitting in the living room. Her belly was big now, big. 5 months pregnant. She was wearing a beige dress. Her hair was down. Her hands were resting on her stomach. She saw me and didn't smile. Good afternoon, Mother. Good afternoon, Alexandra. I sat on the sofa across from her. Sebastian sat next to his wife, and then Alexandra spoke. I want to talk about boundaries. Her voice was cold, calculated. Sebastian and I have been talking a lot. And we decided that for this relationship to work, we need to establish clear rules. My heart started beating faster. What kind of rules? First, you don't come to our house unannounced. If you want to visit, you call first, and we'll tell you if it's a good time or not. I nodded. I swallowed. Second, you don't bring food. We don't need you to cook for us. We already have someone who does that. I nodded again. Third, when the baby is born, visits will be limited. Once a week, no more. Something twisted inside me. Once a week. Yes. We don't want the child to get confused with so many people around. I looked at Sebastian. He was staring at the floor. And fourth, Alexandra paused. She looked me straight in the eye. You will not talk to the child about your life, about how you raised Sebastian, about your sacrifices. We don't want him growing up feeling pity or thinking that we owe anyone anything. The air left my lungs. What? You heard me. Our son will grow up in an upper-class family. He doesn't need to know certain things. And in that moment, I understood. Alexandra didn't want to fix anything. She wanted to erase me. As I tell this, I wonder where you are listening from. Write the name of your city in the comments. She wanted to erase me. Those words circled in my head as I walked back home. The sky was gray. It threatened to rain. You will not talk to the child about your life. We don't want him growing up feeling pity. Every word was a nail. I got to my apartment. I closed the door. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I had no place in the world, not even in my own son's heart. 3 weeks passed. I didn't call Sebastian. I didn't want to bother him. I didn't want to break the rules. But one afternoon, while I was cleaning Mrs. Carmichael's house, something happened. Mrs. Carmichael lived in the same wealthy neighborhood as Sebastian and Alexandra. I had worked for her for years. She was an older woman, kind. She treated me with respect. That day, while I was mopping the kitchen, she was having coffee with a friend in the living room. I didn't mean to listen, but her friend's voice was very loud. Have you seen the wife of that engineer, Sebastian? The one who lives in the corner house. My heart stopped. I stopped mopping. I stood still behind the wall. Alexandra? Mrs. Carmichael asked. Yes, her. That poor young man. He has no idea who he married. Why do you say that? Because I knew her before, about 5 years ago. She worked at my husband's company as an assistant, and she had an affair with the department head, a married man. The floor seemed to move beneath my feet. Are you sure? Completely. It caused a terrible scandal. The man's wife confronted her at the office. There was screaming threats. In the end, Alexandra resigned. But before she left, she got a good amount of money out of the guy. Hush money. My goodness. The worst part is she has no shame. She changed her last name, reinvented herself. And now she's showing off her perfect life, her house, her engineer husband, her pregnancy, like nothing ever happened. Mrs. Carmichael lowered her voice. Do you think her husband knows? I doubt it. Alexandra is very smart. She knows how to manipulate men. She makes them feel important, special, and when she has them hooked, she shows her true colors. My hands were shaking. I had to get out of there. I had to process what I just heard. I finished cleaning in silence. Mrs. Carmichael paid me. I left. But I couldn't stop thinking about that conversation the entire way home. Did Sebastian know any of this? Had Alexandra lied to him about her past? And if it was true, what else was she hiding? I got home. I took out my phone. I dialed Sebastian's number. It rang 3 times. Hello. Son, it's me. Mom, what's wrong? I need to talk to you. It's important. There was a pause. About what? About Alexandra. Another pause. Longer. Mom, we already talked about this. We set the rules. Can't you just follow them? Sebastian, listen to me. There are things you don't know. Things about her past. What are you saying? My heart was beating so hard it hurt. I heard something today. A conversation. A friend of Mrs. Carmichael's knows Alexandra. From before, from her old job. And she said that Alexandra had an affair with a married man. That she caused a scandal. Stop, Mom, stop. His voice was like a slap. What? Stop. Are you now going to spread gossip about my wife? Is this your way of getting me back? Sebastian, I'm not making anything up. Are you jealous because Alexandra has the place you used to have? And now you're looking for any excuse to destroy my marriage. Tears welled up in my eyes. Son, no. I would never do that. I just want to protect you. Protect me from my wife, from the mother of my child. Sebastian, please just investigate. Ask her. Ask her about her previous job, I'm not going to ask her anything, because I trust her. And if you can't accept that, then maybe the rules weren't enough. Maybe we need more distance. What are you saying? I'm saying I don't want you calling me with this kind of stuff ever again. I don't want you coming to my house and planting seeds of doubt. I don't want... He stopped. He took a deep breath. I don't want you to hurt my family, Mom. And he hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, watching the screen go dark. My son had just hung up on me, to defend a woman he barely knew. To believe her, and not me. I collapsed onto the armchair. I clutched the rosary, and I cried. I cried for my son. I cried for the grandchild I might never know. I cried for the woman I had become, a woman whose own son didn't believe her. 2 days passed. I didn't call Sebastian. I didn't send messages. But on the 3rd day, I received a text message. It was from an unknown number. Mrs. Josephine, this is Claudia. I worked with Alexandra years ago. I heard you are her mother-in-law. I need to talk to you. It's important. Please call me. And there was a phone number. My hands were shaking. Was it a trap, or was it the truth knocking on my door? What do you think? Should I call her, or is it better to leave it alone? Let me know in the comments. I spent all night looking at that message. I need to talk to you. It's important. The words glowed on my phone screen like a beacon in the darkness. Should I call? What if it was a trap from Alexandra? What if she had sent someone to confirm I was digging into her past? What if she used this to push me away from Sebastian for good? But what if it was true? What if this woman, Claudia, had information my son needed to know? I got up from the armchair. I walked to the kitchen. I made coffee. Strong coffee with cinnamon the way my mother taught me. The aroma filled the apartment. And in the middle of that aroma, in the middle of that 4 a.m. silence, I made a decision. I was going to call. Because if life had taught me one thing, it was this. The truth always comes out, sooner or later. And when it does, you'd better be prepared. I waited until 8 in the morning. I dialed the number. It rang twice. Hello? The voice was a young woman's, nervous. Claudia. Yes, Mrs. Josephine. Yes, this is she. There was a sigh on the other end of the line. Thank you for calling. I didn't know if you would. How did you get my number? A mutual acquaintance, Mrs. Carmichael. She told me you work for her. And that, you're Alexandra's mother-in-law. My heart started beating faster. What is it you want to tell me? Not over the phone. Can we meet? There are things you need to know, things that could change everything. When? Today, if you can, at the corner cafe, at 11. Do you know it? Yes, I know it. Perfect. I'll be wearing a blue blouse and glasses. I'll see you there. And she hung up. I stood there in the middle of my kitchen phone in hand. What was I doing? But there was no turning back now. At 10:50, I arrived at the corner cafe. It was a small place with wooden tables, plants in the windows, the smell of fresh coffee. I sat at a table in the back. I ordered a coffee with milk. My hands were shaking. At 11 o'clock sharp, a woman walked in. Mid-30s, blue blouse, round glasses, short hair. She was carrying a large bag on her shoulder. She looked around. She saw me. She walked over. Mrs. Josephine. Yes. Claudia. Yes. She sat across from me. She put her bag on the chair next to her. She ordered a coffee. For a moment, neither of us spoke. We just looked at each other. And then she began. I know this is strange. I know you must be wondering why I reached out. But I need you to know something about Alexandra. Something your son should know. What is it? Claudia looked down. She fiddled with the napkin between her fingers. I worked with Alexandra 5 years ago at a consulting firm. She was an assistant to the project manager, a man named Richard Myers. Married, 3 kids. I nodded. I waited. At first, Alexandra seemed normal, hard-working, friendly. But I soon noticed something strange. She always stayed after hours, always had meetings with Richard, always found excuses to be near him. And what happened? They started an affair. It was discreet at first. But Alexandra isn't discreet. She wanted everyone to know she had power, that the boss was protecting her. She started showing up late, ignoring orders from other supervisors, acting like she was untouchable. The coffee arrived. Claudia took a sip. She continued. One day Richard's wife showed up at the office. Someone had sent her photos of Richard and Alexandra leaving a hotel. I closed my eyes. The wife screamed. She cried. She called Alexandra every name in the book. It was horrible. We were all in shock. Alexandra didn't even flinch. She didn't even apologize. She just looked at her with contempt and said, "If your husband is looking elsewhere, it's because he's not finding what he needs at home." I felt sick. What did the wife do? She left crying. Richard was devastated. His marriage was destroyed. His children. God, his children suffered so much. And Alexandra? She resigned 2 weeks later. Why did she resign? Claudia looked me straight in the eye. Because she extorted him. How? She threatened him. She told him if he didn't give her $50,000, she would go to his wife and his lawyers. She'd say he had abused his power, that he had pressured her, that it was all his idea. And it was a lie. Completely. I saw everything. Alexandra was the one who seduced him, who pursued him, who manipulated him. But Richard was scared. Scared of losing his job, scared of a lawsuit. So he paid her. My hands gripped the coffee mug. She took that money and disappeared, changed her last name, reinvented herself. And now she's married to your son. Silence. A heavy, painful silence. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Why now? Claudia took a deep breath. Because a week ago, I saw Alexandra in a restaurant. She was with her husband, pregnant, smiling. And I thought, that man has no idea who she is. He has no idea the damage she can cause. And I remembered Richard. I remembered his wife, his kids. And I couldn't stay quiet. She took out her phone. She looked for something. She showed it to me. It was an old photo from a digital newspaper. Scandal at consulting firm. Assistant accused of extortion. And there she was, Alexandra, younger, a different last name, but it was her. She managed to get most of the news scrubbed, paid to clean her name. But I saved this because I knew someday someone would need to see the truth. She showed me more photos, messages, documents. It was all there, the evidence of who Alexandra really was, a calculating, manipulative woman capable of destroying families without remorse. And my son was married to her. Can I keep these? I asked. That's why I came, to give you this. Claudia took a folder out of her bag with copies of everything, photos, articles, testimonies from other people who worked with Alexandra. This isn't revenge, Claudia said. I've moved on, but your son deserves to know who he's building his life with. And that baby deserves to grow up in a family based on truth. I took the folder with trembling hands. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, because now comes the hard part, which is deciding what to do with this information. Claudia stood up. She left money on the table for her coffee. Your son isn't going to believe you, Mrs. Josephine. Not at first. Alexandra has already gotten into his head that you're the problem, that you're jealous, that you make things up. I know. But the truth always comes out. And when it does, he's going to need you. He's going to need his mother. So don't give up. No matter how much it hurts, no matter how much he rejects you, you be there. And she left. I sat in that cafe for an hour, with that folder in front of me, with the truth in my hands, and with a question burning inside me. What was I going to do now? I got home at sunset. I put the folder on the kitchen table, I made myself some chamomile tea, and I sat down to think. If I showed this to Sebastian now, he wouldn't believe me. He would accuse me of being obsessed, of making things up to destroy his marriage. Alexandra had already prepared him for this. But if I did nothing, if I stayed silent, my son would be living a lie, and that baby would grow up in the shadow of a woman with no morals. What would a good mother do? I thought about my own mother, about how she raised me, about how she taught me that the truth hurts but lies destroy, and I made a decision. I was going to wait. I was going to keep this folder. But when the right moment came, when Sebastian was ready to listen, when Alexandra's mask started to slip, I would be there, with the truth in my hands. I put the folder in my dresser drawer, the same drawer where I kept my mother's rosary, the embroidered blanket. The photos of Sebastian as a child, my treasures. That night before sleeping, I prayed, "Please, God, give me wisdom, give me patience, and when the time comes, give me the right words." I didn't know when that time would come, but something inside me knew it would, because lies have short legs, and Alexandra couldn't hide her true face forever. Sometimes the truth hurts more than lies. Have you ever discovered something that changed everything? Tell me in the comments. 2 months passed, 2 months in which I was a shadow. Sebastian called once a week, short, cold conversations as if he were fulfilling an obligation. "How are you, Mom? I'm fine, son. And you, is everything okay?" Alexandra is 7 months along now. The baby is a boy. What a blessing. "Yeah, I'll talk to you later, Mom." And he'd hang up. I'd put the phone down and stay there in the silence of my apartment, feeling my son drift further and further away each day. Claudia's folder was still in my dresser waiting, but the right moment never seemed to come, until it did. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was cleaning Mrs. Carmichael's house when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Josephine." It was a woman's voice, formal, unknown. "Yes, this is she. Who's speaking?" "My name is Patricia Myers." The name hit me like a stone. Myers, Richard's wife, the wife of the man Alexandra had the affair with. How did you get my number?" "Claudia gave it to me. She told me you're the mother-in-law of Alexandra, or whatever she calls herself now." My heart was beating so fast I could barely breathe. "What do you want from me?" There was a pause. "I want to warn you. That woman destroyed my family. She destroyed my marriage. My children suffered so much my oldest had to go to therapy for years. And all because she decided my husband was a trophy she had to win. I'm so sorry. I don't want your pity. I want you to protect your son. Because if you don't do something, she will destroy him, like she destroyed Richard, like she destroys everyone." "Why are you calling me now?" "Because I saw a photo of her on social media, pregnant, happy, showing off her perfect life, and it made me sick. I thought about that baby, about that man who doesn't know who he's married to. And I couldn't stay quiet. I closed my eyes. "I have evidence," I said. "Claudia gave me documents, photos, but my son doesn't believe me. He thinks I'm making it all up out of jealousy." "Then show him, force him to see." "I already tried. You didn't try hard enough," Patricia interrupted. Her voice was hard, but not with anger, with pain. "When my husband started that relationship, my sister tried to warn me. She showed me signs, but I didn't want to see. I thought she was exaggerating, and when I finally saw the truth, it was too late. My marriage was destroyed." I swallowed. "Don't let that happen to your son. Show him the truth. Even if he gets angry, even if he rejects you, do it. And if I lose him forever, you're already losing him. The difference is that now you have the chance to save him with the truth." And she hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, feeling something inside me change. Patricia was right. I had been waiting for the perfect moment. But there is no perfect moment to tell painful truths. There is only the necessary moment, and that moment was now. That night, after I finished my work, I went home. I took the folder from my dresser. I opened it. I reviewed every document, every photo, every testimony, and I prepared everything. The next day, I called Sebastian. "Mom, I'm busy." "Sebastian, I need to see you. It's urgent." "What happened? Are you okay?" "I'm fine, but I need to talk to you. Today. It's important." There was a silence. "What is this about?" "Come to my apartment this evening at 6, please." "Mom." "Please, son. This is the last time I'm asking you." Another silence. "Fine. 6 o'clock. I made coffee. I cleaned the apartment. I put the folder on the living room table. At 6:15, Sebastian knocked. He came alone. When I saw him, my heart ached. He looked tired, thinner. He had dark circles under his eyes. "Hi, Mom." "Hi, son. Come in." He came in. He sat on the armchair. He looked at the folder on the table. "What is that?" "It's the reason I asked you to come." I sat across from him. I took a deep breath. "Sebastian, what I'm about to tell you is going to hurt. But you need to know it, because you are my son, and because I love you more than anything in this world." He frowned. "Mom, if this is about Alexandra again, just listen to me. Just listen to the end. And after, if you want to leave and never speak to me again, I'll understand." I opened the folder. I took out the first photo, the one from the newspaper article. 5 years ago, Alexandra worked at a consulting firm. There she had an affair with a married man, a man named Richard Myers. She extorted him for $50,000 and destroyed his family. Sebastian snatched the photo from me. He stared at it. His face changed. "Where did you get this?" "From someone who worked with her, someone who saw everything." I took out more documents, more photos, the testimonies. Sebastian read them one by one. His hands were shaking. This can't be true." "It is true. Alexandra changed her last name. She reinvented herself. She lied to you about her past." No. She told me she worked at that company, but that she quit because she didn't like the environment." "She lied, Sebastian, just like she lied to Richard, just like she lies to everyone." He stood up. He started pacing. "Mom, this is too much. How do you expect me to believe this? How do I know this isn't fake? Call this woman." I gave him Claudia's number. "Call her. Ask her. She'll tell you everything." Sebastian took the paper. He stared at it. And then he took out his phone. But he didn't call Claudia. He called Alexandra. "Honey, can you come to my mom's apartment now? It's urgent." "What? No." But it was too late. "Yes, it's about something we need to clear up, all three of us." And he hung up. "Sebastian, you don't understand. If she comes, I want her to look me in the eye, Mom. I want her to tell me this is a lie. And if she tells me, if I see in her eyes that she's telling the truth, then I'm walking out of here and I'm never coming back." His words hurt me, but I nodded. "Okay." 30 minutes later, someone knocked on the door. It was Alexandra, with her huge belly, her black dress, her designer handbag. But when she walked in and saw the folder on the table, her face changed. It was just for a second, but I saw it. Fear. "What is this?" she asked. Her voice sounded different, tense. "Please sit down," Sebastian said. She sat. She looked at me with hatred. "What did you do now, Mother?" "Nothing. I just showed him the truth." Sebastian showed her the documents one by one. Alexandra looked at them, and with every second that passed, her mask fell away. "Is this true?" Sebastian asked. His voice was breaking. "Did you have an affair with that man? Did you extort him?" Alexandra looked at him. Then she looked at me. And then she smiled. It was a cold, calculating smile. "So what if it's true?" Sebastian froze. "What?" "Yes, I had an affair with Richard. Yes, I took the money." "So what?" "He was a weak man who didn't know how to manage his marriage. I just seized an opportunity." "Alexandra, don't look at me like that, Sebastian. I was young. I needed money. I did what I had to do to survive." You destroyed a family. He destroyed his family, not me. I was just the excuse he used. I stood up. You're a liar. You lied to my son. You hid your past. You deceived him. Alexandra stood up too. She looked me straight in the eye. And you are a bitter old woman who can't accept that her son doesn't need her anymore. Stop, Sebastian yelled. Both of you stop. But Alexandra didn't stop. Your son chose me, old woman. He chose me because I give him what you never could. Class, status, a future. And now, I'm going to give him a son, something that will tie me to him forever. She walked toward me. She got so close I could feel her breath. You don't matter anymore, and you can show him all the documents you want. You can call everyone from the past, but nothing is going to change the fact that I won. Alexandra, shut up, Sebastian said, but she continued. This baby is going to grow up without knowing you, without ever hearing about you, because I am going to erase every trace of you from his life. And when he's older and asks about his grandmother, I'm going to tell him he didn't have one, that his father was born from nothing, because that's what you are to us, nothing. Tears were rolling down my cheeks, but I didn't move, I didn't scream. I just looked at her, and I said, you can erase me from my son's life. You can keep me from my grandson. But you cannot erase the truth, and sooner or later Sebastian is going to see who you really are. He's going to see the lie he's living in. And that day, when it all comes crashing down, when you're left all alone, that day, you will remember this moment, and you will understand that life always collects its debts. Alexandra laughed. Keep dreaming, Mother. She turned around. She walked to the door. Sebastian, we're leaving. Now. Sebastian looked at me. His eyes were full of confusion, of pain, of anger. Mom, Go, son, go with her. I don't want things to be this way. But they are, and you've already chosen. He looked down and walked out after Alexandra. I closed the door. I slid to the floor, and I cried like I hadn't cried in years, because I had just lost my son. But I didn't lose my dignity. I didn't lose the truth. And deep down, very deep down, I knew this wasn't over, because Alexandra's lies were too big, and big lies always collapse under their own weight. It was only a matter of time. I spent that night on my living room floor, hugging my mother's rosary and praying. Please, God, protect my son, protect my grandson. And when the time for the truth comes, give me the strength to be there. I didn't know how long it would take. Days, weeks, months, but I knew it would happen, because divine justice never arrives when you want it to. It arrives when it must. Have you ever had to tell a painful truth, knowing it would cost you everything? Tell me your story in the comments. The next few days were the darkest of my life. I would get up, go to work, come home, and sit in that old armchair staring at the wall. My neighbor Lucy would knock on my door. Josephine, have you eaten? Yes, Lucy. A lie. I didn't eat. I wasn't hungry. Do you want some company? No, thank you. I'm fine. Another lie. I wasn't fine. I had lost my son. And the worst part was, he had chosen it. He chose to believe a liar. He chose to defend a woman who had deceived him. He chose to push me out of his life. At night, when the silence became unbearable, I would take out the rosary and pray. I didn't ask for Sebastian to come back. I didn't ask for revenge against Alexandra. I just asked for peace and wisdom, because something inside me knew this wasn't over. 2 weeks passed. One afternoon, while I was cleaning Mrs. Carmichael's house, she called me into the kitchen. Josephine, come. I want to show you something. I went in. She had her laptop open. On the screen was a social media post. It was Alexandra, with her huge belly smiling in an elegant restaurant. The text said, "Celebrating the life to come. Blessed, grateful, happy." I felt a pain in my chest. Why are you showing me this? I asked. Because I want you to see something else. Mrs. Carmichael scrolled down. In the comments, someone had written, "What a hypocrite. I know you. I know who you really are." And another comment, "Congratulations on your pregnancy. But don't forget that debts are always paid." Mrs. Carmichael looked at me. "Your daughter-in-law has enemies, Josephine. A lot of people know her. A lot of people know who she is. And sooner or later, everything comes to light." "That's no comfort to me," I said, "because my son is still with her. And my grandson is going to be born in that house, away from me. Have faith. God's justice is slow, but it always arrives." That night at home, I sat and thought, what should I do? Part of me wanted to give up, to forget, to let go. But another part, the part that had kept me standing for 28 years as a single mother, it told me something different. Don't give up. Do the right thing, even if it hurts, even if no one sees it. Do the right thing. And then I knew what to do. I stood up. I went to my dresser. I took out the blanket I had embroidered for my grandson, the one I never delivered, the one I put away when Alexandra rejected me. White with yellow flowers on the edges, every stitch made with love. I washed it, I ironed it, I folded it carefully, and I wrote a letter. My dearest grandson, you haven't been born yet. I don't know your name. I don't know if I will ever get to meet you, but I want you to know something. You are loved. Your father is a good man, a man who studied hard, who worked hard, who has a noble heart, even if he is confused right now. I am your grandmother Josephine, and even though I can't be near you, even though I can't rock you to sleep or sing you the songs I sang to your father, I want you to have this. I embroidered this blanket thinking of you. Every stitch holds a prayer. Every flower represents a dream I have for you. I dream that you grow up healthy, that you are happy, that you have a kind heart. I dream that one day you will know the truth, and that the truth won't hurt you, but will make you wise. If you ever read this letter, I want you to know one more thing. Your grandmother loved you before she ever saw you. She loved you even when she couldn't be with you. And she will keep loving you from wherever she is. May God bless you always, my love. Your grandmother who will never forget you, even if you never remember me. Josephine. I folded the letter, I put it in an envelope, and I sewed it inside the blanket in a small hidden pocket. The next day I wrapped the blanket in white tissue paper. I tied a yellow ribbon around it, and I took the bus to the wealthy side of town. I arrived at Sebastian's house at noon. I didn't knock. I didn't want to break the rules. I didn't want to cause more problems. I left the package on the front step. And I left. As I walked back to the bus stop, I cried, because I knew that maybe that gift would never reach my grandson. Maybe Alexandra would throw it in the trash. Maybe Sebastian wouldn't even open it. But I had done the right thing. I had left a piece of my heart for that baby, and nobody could take that away from me. That night, Sebastian called me. I was sitting in my kitchen drinking tea. When I saw his name on the screen, my heart jumped. "Hello." "Mom." His voice sounded different, softer, sadder. "Son, I found the blanket and the letter." Silence. "It was beautiful, Mom. It is beautiful." Tears ran down my cheeks. "Thank you, son." Alexandra said she didn't want it, that I should throw it away, but I couldn't. I saved it in my office, where she won't see it. "It's okay, son. It's okay." "Mom, I'm confused. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to do." "I know. Alexandra says you're manipulating me, that this is all a plan to separate us. But when I read your letter, you didn't sound like someone who wants to destroy something. You sounded like my mom." I bit my lip to keep from sobbing. "Sebastian, I can't make your decisions for you. You're a grown man. You have a wife, a child on the way. I can only tell you this. Look for the truth. Don't believe me. Don't believe her. Look for the truth yourself, and when you find it, do what your heart tells you. I'm scared, Mom. I know, son, but fear shouldn't stop you from doing the right thing. What if I was wrong? What if you were right? Then you'll face the consequences, but you won't be alone. I will always be here, even if I can't visit you, even if I can't meet my grandson. I will always be here. He cried. I heard him sobbing on the other end of the line. I love you, Mom. And I love you, son, more than anything in this world. We hung up. And that night, for the first time in weeks, I slept in peace, because I had planted a seed of doubt in my son's heart, and seeds of doubt in fertile ground always grow. 3 more weeks passed. The baby was about to be born. I continued my routine. I worked, I prayed, I lived. But one Thursday afternoon, as I was returning home, I got a call. It was an unknown number again. Hello, Mrs. Josephine. Yes, this is Dr. Ramirez from City Hospital. Your son Sebastian asked me to call you. My heart stopped. What happened? Is he okay? Your son is fine, but your daughter-in-law is in labor. There were complications. We need to perform an emergency C-section. Is she okay, the baby? We're doing everything we can. Your son is very scared. He asked for you. He said he needs his mother. Tears streamed from my eyes. I'm on my way. Please hurry. I hung up. I grabbed my purse, my rosary, and I ran out the door. I hailed a cab. I gave him the address. Please, fast. It's an emergency. The driver sped up. The whole way I prayed. Please, God, protect that baby. Protect Alexandra. It doesn't matter what she did to me. It doesn't matter the damage. Protect that innocent creature. Please. I got to the hospital in 20 minutes. I ran to the reception. I'm looking for Sebastian. His wife is in surgery. 4th floor, maternity waiting room. I ran up the stairs. I didn't wait for the elevator. I reached the 4th floor breathing hard, and there he was, my son, sitting in a chair, his head in his hands, shaking. Sebastian, he looked up. He saw me, and he ran to me. He hugged me like he did when he was a child, tight, desperate. Mom, I'm so scared. I'm here, son. I'm here. The baby is in fetal distress. Alexandra lost a lot of blood. The doctor said there could be complications. They have to be okay. They're going to be okay. We sat together. I held his hand. 2 hours passed, the 2 longest hours of my life. Finally, a doctor came out. Family of Alexandra. Sebastian stood up. I'm her husband. The surgery was successful. Your wife is stable. And my son. Your son is fine, healthy, 7 pounds 4 ounces. Sebastian collapsed into the chair. He cried with relief. Thank you. Thank you, doctor. You can go see him in a few minutes. He's in the nursery. The doctor left. Sebastian looked at me. Do you want to meet your grandson? The words hit me like a ray of sun after a storm. Can I? Of course you can. You're his grandmother. We walked into the nursery together, and there he was, my grandson, small, pink, his eyes closed, a little blue cap, perfect. His name is Matthew, Sebastian said. Matthew Sebastian. He's beautiful. I want you to be part of his life, Mom. I don't care what Alexandra says. This boy is going to know his grandmother. I looked at my son, and I saw something different in his eyes. Clarity. Are you sure? Yes, these last few months. I've been thinking a lot about everything you said, about the documents you showed me. And I started to see things. Little lies. Inconsistencies in what Alexandra tells me. Son, I'm not ready to talk about it yet, but I want you to know something. You were right. Not about everything, but about a lot. He hugged me. Forgive me, Mom, for not believing you, for not listening to you, for leaving you alone. You are already forgiven, son. You are already forgiven. Just then a nurse came in. Mr. Sebastian, your wife is awake. She's asking for you. I'm coming. He turned to me. Are you coming? No, not this time. You go. Be with her. When you're ready, I'll be here. He nodded, and he left. I stayed alone in front of the nursery window, looking at my grandson. And in that silence, in that sacred moment, I understood something. I had done the right thing. I didn't seek revenge. I didn't attack Alexandra. I just told the truth. And I acted with love. And now, in some mysterious way, life was giving me a chance. Maybe it wouldn't be like I dreamed. Maybe I wouldn't see Matthew every day. Maybe Alexandra would still be an obstacle. But I had something she would never have, the truth. And the truth always wins. Always. I left the hospital that night with a full heart. Not with revenge, not with rage, but with hope. Because I had seen the first glimmers of justice. My son was starting to wake up. And I knew, when you wake up from a lie, you can never go back to sleep. Sometimes silence and dignity speak louder than 1,000 words. Have you ever had to wait in silence while the truth did its work? Tell me. The first few weeks with Matthew in the world were strange. Sebastian called me almost every day. "Mom, can you come over tomorrow? I want you to see Matthew." "Of course, son." I would go, but always when Alexandra wasn't there. She would go to her doctor's appointments, her meetings, whatever. And I would use those moments to hold my grandson, to sing him the same songs I sang to Sebastian, to watch him sleep. Matthew was beautiful. He had my son's eyes, my mother's nose, and when he smiled, my goodness, when he smiled, the world stopped. "You look so much like your daddy," I would whisper. So much. Sebastian would watch me from the armchair. "Thanks for coming, Mom. Thanks for letting me come." But there was always a shadow. Alexandra. When she was home, I was not welcome. The rules were still in effect. One time I arrived 10 minutes late and she had already returned. She opened the door with Matthew in her arms. "What are you doing here?" Sebastian invited me. "Well, you're too late. See you next week." And she closed the door in my face. When Sebastian found out, he called me furious. "Mom, forgive me. I didn't know she would be home early." "It's okay, son. It's not okay. She can't keep treating you like this." "Let it go, Sebastian. It's not worth fighting over." But something had changed in my son. He no longer defended Alexandra with the same intensity. He no longer justified her actions. He just stayed quiet, and that silence told me more than 1,000 words. 2 months after Matthew was born, something happened. I was at the market buying vegetables when my phone rang. It was Sebastian. "Mom, can you come to the house now?" His voice sounded strange, tense. "What happened? Is Matthew okay?" "Matthew's fine, but I need you to come, please." "I'm on my way." I left the vegetables. I took a taxi. I got to his house in 20 minutes. I knocked. Sebastian opened the door. His eyes were red, swollen. "Come in." I entered. The house was silent. "Where's Alexandra?" "She left. She went to her mother's house with Matthew." My heart squeezed. "What happened?" Sebastian sat on the sofa. He covered his face with his hands. "I did what you told me. I looked for the truth. And I called Claudia." "The woman who gave you the documents." I nodded. I waited. We talked for 2 hours. She told me everything, with details, with names, with dates. And then she gave me more contacts, other people who worked with Alexandra. He stopped. He took a deep breath. I called 3 more people. They all told me the same thing, that Alexandra is manipulative, a liar, that she uses people, that she destroys everything she touches. Tears ran down his cheeks. And then I called Richard, the man she had the affair with. "You spoke to him." "Yes. At first he didn't want to talk, but when I told him I was married to her, that I just had a son with her, he changed. He told me, 'Be careful. That woman doesn't love anyone. She only loves herself.'" Sebastian sobbed. "Why didn't I believe you, Mom? Why did I have to get to this point to see the truth?" I sat next to him. I hugged him. Because sometimes we need to discover things for ourselves. "If I had forced you to believe me, you always would have had doubts. But now Now you know, and no one can take that truth from you. What do I do now I have a child with her? Do you love her?" He looked at me, and in his eyes I saw the answer. I don't know if I ever loved her. I think I fell in love with the idea of her, of what she represented, the status, the life we built. But now when I look at her, all I see are lies. What happened today? Why did she leave? Sebastian wiped his tears. This morning I asked her. I said, "I need you to tell me the truth about your past, about Richard, about everything." And she exploded. What did she say? She yelled at me. She called me ungrateful, said she had given me everything, that without her I'd still be a mediocre engineer, that my mother had brainwashed me. I closed my eyes. And then she said something worse. What? She said she regretted having Matthew, that the baby had ruined her, that her body was destroyed, that she couldn't go out with her friends anymore, that it was all my fault for getting her pregnant. Horror ran through my body. She said that about her own son. Yes, and I told her to leave, that I needed space, that I needed to think. And what did she do? She packed a bag, she took Matthew, and she left screaming that I would regret this, that she would take everything from me, that I would never see my son again. Sebastian looked at me with desperate eyes. Can she do that? Can she take Matthew away from me? I don't know, son, but we're going to find out. We're going to fight. The next few days were hell for Sebastian. Alexandra didn't answer his calls. She didn't respond to his messages. She only sent one text. "My lawyers will be in contact with you. Prepare to lose everything." Sebastian hired a lawyer, a serious man in a gray suit with a leather briefcase. "Mr. Sebastian, I need you to tell me everything, without omitting anything." And Sebastian told him about Alexandra's history with Richard, about the extortion, about the lies, about everything. The lawyer listened in silence. He took notes. At the end he said, "We have a strong case, especially if we can get testimonies from the people who worked with her. And if Richard is willing to testify. Do you think I can get my son back? I think we can fight for shared custody, but it will be difficult. She is the mother, and the baby is very young." Sebastian left that meeting more distressed than ever. I went with him to a cafe. "What if I lose him, Mom? What if I lose Matthew?" "You're not going to lose him. Maybe you won't have him all the time, but that boy is yours, and no judge is going to take him away from you." "But she can make him grow up hating me. She can fill his head with lies about me." "She can try. But when Matthew grows up, he will see the truth. Children always see the truth." 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks without seeing Matthew, 3 weeks of silence from Alexandra, until one day Sebastian received a call. It was from Alexandra's mother. "Sebastian, I need to talk to you. It's about my daughter." "What's wrong?" She's not well. Ever since she got here, she hasn't stopped crying. She doesn't sleep. She barely eats. And the baby, she's not taking good care of him." "What do you mean by that?" "She's letting me do everything. She doesn't want to hold him. When he cries, she locks herself in her room. I'm worried." Sebastian froze. "Is she hurting Matthew?" "No, but she's not caring for him either, and that's not normal." "Can I come see him?" "Come tomorrow, at 10, when Alexandra isn't here. She leaves every morning, says she's going to the gym, but I know she's meeting her friends, to complain about you." The next day, Sebastian went. I went with him. Alexandra's mother opened the door. She was an older woman, about 60, with white hair, tired eyes, tired. "Come in, quickly." We entered, and there was Matthew, in a bassinet, crying. His diaper was dirty. His clothes were wrinkled. Sebastian picked him up. "My baby, my beautiful baby boy." Alexandra's mother looked at us with tears in her eyes. "Forgive me. I raised Alexandra the best I could, but she was always like this, selfish, cold. I thought she would change when she became a mother, but she didn't change. She got worse." "Where is she?" Sebastian asked. "I don't know. She leaves at 8 in the morning and comes back at 2 in the afternoon." And when she returns, she locks herself in her room. She doesn't even ask about the baby. Sebastian looked at me. Mom, I can't leave Matthew here. I know. He turned to Alexandra's mother. I'm going to take him, with your permission. Take him, please. That child deserves to be with someone who loves him. And so Sebastian took his son, and we walked out of there. In the taxi on the way back, Matthew stopped crying. He fell asleep in his father's arms, and I knew that divine justice had begun to act. Alexandra had lost the one thing that gave her power over Sebastian. She had lost her son, not because someone took him, but because she herself had abandoned him. That night, Alexandra called furious. Give me back my son, now. No, I'm going to call the police. I'm going to sue you. Do it, but your own mother told me to take him, that the baby was being neglected. I have witnesses. Silence. Sebastian, What, Alexandra? What are you going to say now that you love Matthew, that you're a good mother? Because your own mother says the opposite. I just needed a break. Being with a baby 24/7 is exhausting. Then you shouldn't have had one. You're a monster. No, you were the monster, and I was the fool for not seeing it sooner. And he hung up. Sebastian looked at me. Did I do the right thing? You did the right thing. In the following weeks, Alexandra's mask fell off completely. Her friends started to pull away, the same ones who had been at that party where she humiliated me. One of them, a woman named Sarah, called Sebastian. Sebastian, I'm so sorry about what happened. I knew Alexandra wasn't who she said she was, but I didn't say anything. Forgive me. Why did you know? Because she told me. She told me about Richard, about the money. She would make fun of him, said it was so easy to manipulate him. And I laughed with her, like it was a joke. But it wasn't a joke, it was the truth. Why are you calling me now? Because I saw what she did to your mom. I saw how she treated her. And I was ashamed. Ashamed of having been her friend. Ashamed of being part of that. Sebastian said nothing. If you need me to testify, if you need me to tell what I know, I'll do it. Because your mom didn't deserve that. And neither did you. And she hung up. One by one, the people Alexandra had used began to talk, to tell the truth, to expose who she really was. And she was left alone, completely alone. Her mother stopped supporting her. I can't anymore, Alexandra. You need help. You need to change. Her friends disappeared, and Sebastian began the divorce proceedings. A month later, I received a call. It was from a number I didn't recognize. Hello, Mrs. Josephine. It was a woman's voice, weak, broken. Yes, this is Alexandra. My heart stopped. What do you want? Silence. And then, something I never thought I'd hear. Crying. I ruined everything. I didn't say anything. You were right. About everything. I'm a liar, a manipulator, and now I've lost everything. Why are you calling me? Because I have no one else. My mother won't speak to me. My friends abandoned me. Sebastian hates me, and I hate myself. Part of me wanted to hang up. Part of me wanted to tell her everything she made me feel. But another part, the part my mother taught me, made me stay on the line. What do you want me to do, Alexandra? I don't know. I just needed to tell you I'm sorry. That I'm sorry for how I treated you. That I'm sorry for being so cruel. Are you really sorry? Or are you just sorry because you lost? A long silence. Both. At least she was honest. Alexandra, I can't forgive you right now. Maybe someday, but not now. You hurt me too much. You hurt my son, and you almost hurt your own child. I know, but I'm going to tell you something. Something my mother told me when I was young. It's never too late to change, but the change has to come from within, not because you lost something, but because you want to be better. Do you think I can change. I don't know. Only you know that. And I hung up. I never knew if Alexandra changed. I never knew if she got help. The only thing I knew is that she signed the divorce papers, she agreed to shared custody, and she slowly, very slowly, disappeared from our lives, not with violence, not with drama, but with the silence that only moral defeat can bring. She once called me crazy. She told me I didn't matter, that she was going to erase me from my son's life. But years later, when I saw her on the street by chance, she was alone, walking with a lost look in her eyes, without the shine she once had, without the power she once thought she had. And I understood something. Life always collects its debts, not with divine punishment, not with human revenge, but with the natural consequences of our own actions. Alexandra destroyed herself, and I didn't have to do anything. Just wait. Just keep my dignity. Just trust that the truth always comes out. And it did. Have you ever watched someone who hurt you finally face the consequences of their own actions? Tell me in the comments. 5 years have passed since that night. 5 years since Alexandra screamed at me at that birthday party. 5 years since I thought I had lost my son forever. Today, as I write these words, Matthew is playing in my backyard. He's 5 years old. He has his father's eyes, the same mischievous smile, and every time he calls me Grandma, I feel my heart fill with a happiness I never thought I'd feel again. Sebastian divorced Alexandra 4 years ago. It was a long, painful process, full of lawyers and hearings and endless paperwork. But in the end, my son got his life back, and I got my son back. Matthew spends the weekends with me. Sebastian brings him over on Friday afternoons. Mom, here's your favorite grandson. He's my only grandson, I say, smiling. For now, he replies with a mysterious smile. Sebastian met someone a year ago, a good woman, an elementary school teacher. She has a soft voice and an easy laugh. Her name is Caroline. The first time he introduced her to me, she was nervous. Mrs. Josephine, it's an honor to meet you. Sebastian has told me so much about you. I hope good things, I said. Only good things. He told me you're the strongest woman he knows. And in that moment, I knew Caroline was different. She wasn't trying to impress me. She wasn't pretending to be someone she wasn't. She was just genuine. Now when they come to visit, Caroline helps me in the kitchen. She asks me questions about my mother's recipes. She laughs when I tell stories about Sebastian when he was little. And most importantly, she loves Matthew as if he were her own. Grandma. Matthew told me a few weeks ago, Caroline makes me pancakes with chocolate chips. Oh yeah, and are they good? Very good, but not as good as your tamales. And he hugged me. Those are the moments that remind me why it was worth it to hold on, why it was worth it to stand firm, why it was worth it to trust that the truth always comes out. And Alexandra, I see her once a month. When she comes to pick up Matthew after his weekend with her, she doesn't live in the wealthy neighborhood anymore. She moved to a small apartment downtown. She doesn't have the same spark in her eyes. She doesn't wear designer clothes. She doesn't show off on social media. She looks tired. At first, when she came for Matthew, she wouldn't even look at me. She would just honk from the car, and Matthew would run out. But a few months ago, something changed. She got out of the car. She knocked on the door. When I opened it, she looked me straight in the eye. Mrs. Josephine, can we talk about what? About everything. About what I did. About how I treated you. About what happened. I looked at her for a long moment, and then I opened the door. Come in. We went into the living room. I offered her coffee. She accepted. We sat in silence for a few seconds. I don't know where to start, she finally said. Start at the beginning. Alexandra took a deep breath. When I met Sebastian, I had just come out of the scandal with Richard. I had lost my job, my reputation, everything, and I decided to reinvent myself, change my last name, pretend I was someone different. I nodded. I listened. Sebastian was perfect. Hard-working, honest. From a good family. Well, a humble family. But I saw potential in him. I saw he could build something, and I decided I was going to be part of it. Did you love him? She looked down. No, not really. I loved what he represented, the security, the status, the chance at a different life. And me. You scared me. I scared you. Yes, because when I looked at you, I saw everything I wasn't. I saw sacrifice, true love, dignity, and that made me feel small, fake. So I decided to attack you, to push you away, to erase you, because it was easier than facing my own truth. Tears were running down her cheeks. I was cruel to you, horrible. And the worst part is, I didn't do it because you did anything wrong. I did it because you were everything I couldn't be. I stayed silent. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know what I did is unforgivable. But I needed to tell you this. I needed you to know that I am sorry, truly. I looked at this woman, the same one who humiliated me in front of everyone, the same one who tried to erase me from my son's life, the same one who almost took my grandson from me, and I felt something strange, not hatred, not rage, but compassion. Alexandra, I said softly, what you did to me, it hurt. It hurt more than you can possibly imagine. There were nights when I cried myself to sleep. There were days when I thought I had lost everything. She nodded, crying. But do you know what I learned from all this? What? I learned that no one can take your dignity away from you, that the truth always wins, and that true love endures everything. Do you forgive me? I took a deep breath. I forgive you, not because what you did was right, but because holding on to resentment only hurts me. And I've carried enough pain. Alexandra covered her face with her hands and wept. She cried like a child. And in that moment I understood something. She had also suffered, not in the same way I did, but she had suffered the consequences of her own decisions, and that was justice enough. When Alexandra left that day, I sat in my armchair, the same armchair where I used to rock Sebastian, the same armchair where I cried when I thought I had lost him, the same armchair where I prayed for years for my family to heal, and I took out my mother's rosary, the blue beads I had held in my hands in the darkest moments. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you for not abandoning me. Thank you for giving me strength when I had none left. Thank you for giving me back my son. And thank you for teaching me that divine justice always arrives. Today, while Matthew plays in the yard, Sebastian is in the kitchen helping me make stew. Mom, should I add more oregano? A little more, but not too much. Caroline is setting the table. How many plates, Mrs. Josephine? 5. Lucy and her husband are coming over. My neighbors, the ones who saw me cry, the ones who kept me company in silence, the ones who never stopped knocking on my door. This is my family now, not perfect, not like I imagined it 5 years ago, but real and full of true love. Sometimes people ask me, Josephine, was all that suffering worth it? And I answer, suffering is never worth it on its own, but what we learn from suffering, that is worth it. I learned that dignity is more important than revenge. I learned that the truth can be slow, but it always arrives. I learned that true love doesn't give up. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't end. I learned that mothers are stronger than we think, and I learned that divine justice doesn't always come with fire and thunder. Sometimes it comes in silence, with natural consequences, with inevitable regrets, with losses that we bring upon ourselves. Matthew runs into the kitchen. Grandma, look what I found. He has a butterfly resting on his finger, yellow with black spots. It's beautiful, my love. Do you think it's magic? All butterflies are magic. Why? Because they start as caterpillars, slow, trapped on the ground. But then they transform, and they fly, and they're beautiful. Matthew looks at me with those big eyes. You're like a butterfly, Grandma. The question takes me by surprise. Why do you say that? Because Daddy told me there was a time when you were very sad. But now you're happy, like a caterpillar that became a butterfly. I kneel in front of him. I hug him. Yes, my love, exactly like a butterfly. And it's true. There was a time when I felt trapped, humiliated, rejected, but I didn't give up. I didn't seek revenge. I just held on to my dignity, and I waited, and the transformation came, not just for me, but for everyone. Sebastian transformed into a wiser man. Alexandra transformed into a more humble woman. And I transformed into something I didn't know I could be, a woman who forgave the unforgivable, not out of weakness, but out of strength. Tonight after dinner, when everyone has gone home, I'm going to sit in my armchair. I'm going to take out my mother's rosary, and I'm going to pray, not for me, but for all the women who are going through what I went through, the women who are rejected by their daughters-in-law, the women who are pushed away from their children, the women who are humiliated for loving too much. I'm going to pray that they find strength, that they don't give up, that they trust that the truth always comes out, and that they know this. The deepest pain can become the greatest wisdom, the deepest wounds can heal, and true love always wins, always. My name is Josephine. I'm 58 years old, and this is the story I kept for years, the story of how I lost my son and how I got him back. Not with screams, not with revenge, but with dignity, with patience, and with faith. If my story helps just one woman to open her eyes, to hold on to her dignity, to not give up when all seems lost, then every tear I cried will have been worth it, because pain that transforms us is never wasted pain. It's pain that teaches us, that strengthens us, that turns us into butterflies. And butterflies always fly, always. Thank you for listening to the end. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Elderly Stories and hit the notification bell to hear more stories from women who turned their pain into wisdom. Every day, a new woman, a new life lesson. Share this story with someone you love. Sometimes a story like this can change their entire day. God bless you, and until next time.